This is a 3-year review for the 10 1/4 Makita saw. I got this saw 3 years ago to cut the posts and beams for our porch. I actually previously worked in timber framing, and I used a previous model of this saw and I loved it, and so I got one for myself when we bought our house and started building the porch. I like to cut timbers all the way through if I can. I was cutting forged timbers. This can just go through the forged timber, which is fantastic. So the things I like about this saw, especially in comparison to the previous model and other 10 1/4 inch saws I've used, the guard is very easy to use. I like to make my cuts with the guard up. I know that that's not how a lot of people like to do it, but I like to have the guard up and out of the way when I'm making finish cuts. It's very easy to hold the guard while you're holding the handle, which I like. In addition, I really like how this setup is. So it's a dual trigger. One is with your thumb, it's quite easy to use, and then the other is with the finger. And so this is a very comfortable position for me to make nice cuts, which I really, really like. The exhaust chute for the sawdust is way improved compared to the previous one. Previous one would get jammed all the time. You'd have to blow it out, and then it would end up messing up your cuts because you might not be able to see the line. This one does very well in terms of exhausting that sawdust as you're cutting it. Very easy to adjust the angle, which I like. It's a standard adjustment. The plate is very steady while you're cutting, very stable, which I like. This saw has a better feel than other saws I've used, including the previous model, while you're cutting. Its stability, but also how it pushes as you're going. It's a nice steady push as you're making the cut. I will say that when I'm making finish cuts, I don't use a general purpose blade like this. I actually use a thin kerf blade. I use the Freud thin kerf blades when I'm making finish cut. This is good for just making, for me, I use a general purpose blade for just cutting things to rough length. I am a huge fan of this saw. I will be keeping it for years to come. I cannot recommend, if you're someone who likes to make one big cut on things that are, you know, bigger than your standard 7 1/4 inch saw, then you gotta get one of these. If you're not someone who likes that, maybe don't get one, but huge fan of this saw.